Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for what is supposed to be an absolute banger of Terran versus Zerg, where we find ourselves on Data C. Spawning right here in the top right-hand corner of the map and playing with the blue Zerg drones from South Korea, we have one of the greatest Zerg players in the world, a previous world champion of StarCraft 2, and his name is Dark. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing him with the red Terran SCVs, and actually a teammate of Dark as well. They both represent Dragon Phoenix Gaming. We are looking at Cure's main command center. I haven't casted a whole lot of Cure's games over the last couple of months. I'm not entirely sure why that is, to be honest. I mean, the main reason, I guess, is that there's not as many replays available with his name on it, right? So back in the day, he used to play in pretty much every single online tournament that was being played. Then at some point, he ended up winning a premier tournament, right? Like, for example, the GSL Code S, which is a pretty tricky tournament to win, let's be honest. And I think Cure has probably become a little bit more selective with the cups that he does play, because obviously, well, if you play in literally everything, there's also a ton of replays that are available for your opponents to study. Either way, he's still one of the very best Terrans, of course. Darko is a lot of fun to watch. Opening up with I think that's a 16 spawning pool. Alright, following it up with a hatchery and then also a gas geyser as well. I like watching Dark a lot. Over the last couple of months, Dark has actually once again found some fire in his gameplay, right? So, he's always been very good, don't get me wrong. He's always been amongst the very best, but recently, once again, okay. It seems to me that he's found a way to obtain the victory more so than he did a couple of months ago. Anyhow, look at that. The Roach Warren planted down at the fastest reasonable timing for Terran versus Zerg. That's a very quick Roach Warren. It's also a pool first and no SCV scout right here from Cure. So this is one of those builds that I personally love playing on the ladder, especially when Terrans don't go for an SCV scout. I mean, there is going to be a Reaper here, but it's going to be hard for them to know exactly what's going on. So this Reaper, there's a very good chance. I haven't really seen this push on this map yet, but no, it should never really line up right here for Cure. There's pretty much no way that Cure is going to scout that Roach Warren on the other side of the map, just because the Zerglings are going to show up in the natural of the Terran player here in just a moment. So I think that this Reaper is going to have to make a... yeah, immediately it's going to have to turn around just to defend at home. Now, there are Roaches on the back of this. This will be unscouted for Cure. Obviously, he will have a bunch of units available, and he's well aware of the fact that this could be a follow-up with Roaches too, but is it really something that Dark plays super frequently? Probably not. Probably not. I've seen Dark mostly going for the hatch gas pool, or maybe the pool first into a hatch and then a third hatch. Anyhow, I think that these Zerglings should be cleaned up quite well, but you can see that Dark is trying to buy as much time as possible. When you go for this opener, when you build like 5 to 6 Roaches in the earlier stages of the game, you really do need to kill probably about... I want to say like 5 to 7 or so SCVs in order to justify this push. Now, what I like about this build on the ladder, personally, is that it's fantastic because Terrans usually, right? So I play like low GM, high masters. Usually, Terrans at that level are incredibly confident in their offensive capabilities, right? So they're very good at microing their first bunch of units, but they're not necessarily as competent when it comes to defending at home, because that's an entirely different approach. So usually, over the last decade or so of StarCraft 2, Terrans are the ones that are in charge of the pacing of the early game. And now suddenly Dark shows up with a bunch of Zerglings, a bunch of Roaches, and a Ravager. He should definitely start up Zergling speed, though, because I've made that mistake where you forget that upgrade, and then suddenly defending at home is going to become a little bit harder. Anyhow, how many workers will he be able to snipe? Cyclone is available. I don't think that any of those Roaches are going to be able to get out, by the way. But already, this is a good amount of kills. Good targeting here as well by the Zerg player from Korea. And yeah, now that he's in double digits territory, I do believe he's in a pretty amazing spot. Now that Zergling speed is late. Actually kind of funny, because I always forget about the Zergling speed with this opener. And it's kind of... ooh. Okay, sorry. I always forget about the Zergling speed right here. So it's kind of nice to see Dark also, you know, making a similar mistake. The problem is, the counterattack from Terran is gonna come right away, right? Cure knows that there's not gonna be link speed out just yet. He decided to go double Cyclone. Okay. He can start Overlord hunting. He can start hunting down whatever, well, whatever he wants, right? So, this Cyclone already responsible for 7 kills. Oh, I actually love that. Reaper providing some high ground vision over here, so even if the Overlord escapes into the main base, it should still, yeah, get killed regardless. Other Overlords desperately running all the way back home. There's another lock-on. You might need a scan in order to pull that one off. Beautiful grenade, though, right there. Second Cyclone shows up. Rather. And that's the end of Brenda. That being said, though, he's staying out here for a really long time, and Link Speed is just a couple seconds away from finishing. A lot of Zerglings were also produced right here by the Zerg. Not normal to actually produce this many Zerglings at this point in the game, but apparently Dark really wants to snipe those two Cyclones. Maybe he was a little bit afraid of losing the third hatch, and now suddenly, after that overextension from Cure, Dark once again has the map control. Not that long ago, about, did he evacuate the SCVs? Oh yeah, he did. Not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago, I casted an amazing game between Dark and Beyond on this same map. Remember that one? Like, that was an insane match, actually. So in that game, I'm hoping we're gonna see some more of that. We had a long macro match of Terran versus Zerg, and Dark did something I haven't really seen very often at all at the pro level, where he had like 30 Brute Lords. He like target fired down his own Spore Crawlers and Creep Tumors with the Brute Lords, and then he targeted with the other Brute Lords the Brutelings that were on the ground to then go for like waves and waves and waves of Brutelings. Now obviously they time out rather quickly, but he definitely found a way to get like another, I want to say like half a screen of distance or so on those Brutelings, and it was pretty sick to see. So I want to see if maybe that's something that Dark has been refining over the last couple of months as well. Or last couple of weeks, I suppose. I haven't really seen anyone beat Dark in the late game recently. So, yeah. Maybe Cure can pull it off. I mean, I say that because I know that this is a longer game, right? I saw the replay timer. I don't really know exactly how long it is, but this is a proper long match. So, despite the early start right here, Cure definitely being on the back foot at this point. Yeah, this game is going to go the distance. So, I'm quite excited to find out what Dark has been doing in the late game. So, what he did in that match was, once again, play like a normal game, and then suddenly he started making a ridiculous amount of Brute Lords. I would not be surprised at all if that's something he does again in this game as well. But obviously, Cure is going to be a little bit different than Beyond. Cure is always a lot of fun to watch, though. Like, okay, I don't mean this with any disrespect whatsoever. It's gonna sound like disrespect, okay, but bear with me. Cure is genuinely one of the very best Terran players in the world. However, he doesn't have the best micro. He doesn't have the best macro. He doesn't have the greatest strategies. But he's really freaking good at playing, like, normal, quote-unquote, normal StarCraft 2. Let me put it like this. When you're watching Maru play, you don't really think, okay, I can play that as well, right? When you see Björn or Clem microing their units, I mean, maybe you think that you could pull that off, but spoiler alert, you can't. When you watch Cure play, however, oftentimes I've got the feeling that I could potentially do this too, you know? Spoiler alert again, I can't. I've tried. It doesn't work. But at the very least, he's got that vibe, right? So I think that Winter calls him the People's Terran, which I think is a pretty good description. When you watch this man play, you think that you could do it too, until you try it out, and then you can't. But yeah, it's an interesting way to really describe the game. He doesn't really have anything that really sets him apart, but he's really good at just playing a quintessential normal game of, well, macro Terran. Anyhow, that really did sound a little bit mean, did it? It sounded like, in my head, it kind of came out as a compliment, but I really... Anyways, again, let me just reiterate that he's one of the very best players in the world, and I'm not, so, you know. Alright. Couple of Spore Crawlers over here being annoying. Another Dark special. He loves doing that. Oh, nice targeting right there by Cure. Sniping a couple of the banelings before he picks up and gets them out of there. Obviously, by the way, Cure won the GSO Code S, right? Like, that was like last year. So, you know, he won one of the absolute hardest tournaments in all of StarCraft 2. So, that is probably a good indication as to what his skill level is actually like. Anyhow, Hydraling Bane right here from the Zerg player. Yeah, Dark plays a little bit of everything. Dark's very good at, like, just playing that macro style of Zerg, but he also definitely likes to mix it up, and I think it's pretty fun to watch because of that. He goes for, well, for example, a Roach push. I think if you were to play against someone like, say you're playing in an open tournament, right, and anyone could sign up, and you're going up against Cure, he will probably give you at least 10 minutes. Dark, however, will absolutely destroy you by the 4-minute mark. Dark is not gonna give you the light of day, okay? Anyhow, Dark is setting up a massive surround right now, or at least he's trying to. He's thinking of engaging over here. Yeah, the Queen's right now in the front trying to soak up as many of those siege tank hits as possible. Okay, a lot of tanks over there get surrounded quite easily. That being said, the Marines are still available, but I think at this point, this push has already been mostly held. How many Queens can he still snipe before the Zerg player gets back to the safety of that creep? Well, honestly, quite a bit, yeah. That was a good couple of siege tanks going down, of course, but I think that Cure still got a pretty favorable trade right there in the end. Sniping a bunch of, yeah, a bunch of Hydra, well, one Hydra, a couple Queens, a bunch of Zerglings and Banelings. Not bad at all, and obviously he was already transitioning towards a 4th command center too. That was by no means a 3-base all-in. 2-2 coming up. 2-2 coming up as well on the other side of the map. Hive is now building. We have the armory upgrade as well. So this is what pretty much all the Terran players in Korea have been playing other than Gumiho, right? So, heavy focus on macro. Usually a lot of additional command centers going forward as well. And then, of course, that transition towards Ghosts. Every Terran player's favorite MOBA unit right now is the Ghost. They love that unit. It's got so many different, yeah, usefulness. That's not even a sentence, but, well, it was a sentence, but not a correct one. Anyways, it's got a lot of use in the late game. Ooh, nice. Got a lot of use in the late game in particular. It's super powerful. It's good against practically every Zerg unit other than, well, maybe Banelings, right? Although they're not even awful against that. You split them reasonably well. That's the main issue, I guess, with Ghosts. They're very expensive and, yeah, they are hard to build when you don't have a lot of economy. And you do have to micro them well, but if you can pull it off, you can get an insane amount of value out of it. So I'm expecting that playstyle right here from Cure as well. Even though he hasn't added on a Ghost Academy just yet, I'm expecting it to come down pretty soon. Alright. He's getting a lot of very nice traits, though. Once again, beautiful target firing right there. Okay, he does end up losing one of the medevacs, but... a siege tank over here in that position apparently can reach the Queens as well. In the meantime, by the way, there's a little bit of skirmish going on over here in the top left-hand corner, too. Looks like Dark ended up killing the medevac. So those Marines will find their graves. Alright. Lurker Den. It's really gonna shut down that play, right? So Cure is going for that, like, chokehold approach in this area of the map. Got a feeling that as soon as the Vipers are out and as soon as the Lurkers are available, it's gonna be really hard to continue this assault. Obviously, Lurkers are still a while away. I mean, you can build them, but they need some upgrades before they really find their major use. But already, I mean, Dark, even if he loses this base, which I don't think is going to happen, but if he would, he can already transition towards the top left-hand corner, right? So he's taken some additional bases. If he has to evacuate on out of here, he should be A-okay. So there's the Ghost Academy. There's the 5th command center flying on over too. Oh, that's the reason why Cure is sitting out here. I like that. So usually it's a little dangerous, right? Especially because of all those counterattacks. So he made some walls over here. It's a little bit dangerous to send that much of your army towards the other side of the map, but I don't think that Cure can really be broken here until the Vipers are out, which, well, they are right now. Can you make that? Oh my god. You can make that into the main base? That's a really long yoink. Anyhow. Yeah. Anyways, I think he's trying to do this to make sure that he can secure the bottom right-hand corner, and he does push that army back once again. So he takes this expo, and I think if he can sit out there for a little while longer, those expansions will also become available, but obviously that is going to be a few minutes from now. Good control here once again by the Terran player, microing his heart out. Excellent work. There's the Vipers. Ooh, Blinding Cloud shutting down a lot of that bio. That allows the Hydras to do a lot more damage. Obviously, it's also a friendly spell, right? So, well, I guess it's a passive spell, meaning that, like, or neutral is probably the better word, meaning that the Hydras could also be affected by it if they stand in the cloud. A couple of, well, random units here in the middle of the map. Don't really like that rally point all too much. Anyhow, the waters have been tested. Both players have skill checked each other about 17 times. It looks that we're setting up for a late game here. Neither player really took critical amounts of damage. And while I do think I like this position for Dark a little bit better still, it's not like he's in an amazing spot either, right? 3-3 upgrades are already, yeah, finishing here for Cure. Alright, so we're going for that late game. I have casted quite a few of Dark's games recently. I've seen quite a few of his games too, but honestly, I can't remember the last time he lost like a long macro game. I mean, obviously he has. Maybe I just haven't seen those matches. These guys do still play in quite a few tournaments, but Dark really is, what I'm trying to get at, a very, very strong late game player right now. He's one of those few players that can actually micro Vipers and Infestors and Queens and all of those other units at the same time. In theory, a great idea, right? To go for Vipers and Infestors, but microing it all is much easier said than done. Anyhow, I often find that Terran players on this map get stuck on 4 bases, where they can't really secure this expansion over here that Kira already managed to pull off. So, yeah, he's already finding himself in a pretty nice macro position, but just because he's playing against Dark, I guess I'm immediately favoring him. You know, Dark that is over someone like Kira. Okay. Good couple of abductions once again. Getting a lot of value, right? Yeah, Vipers are a match made in heaven together with the Lurkers. Until Ghosts are out, right? So, Ghosts obviously have the EMP ability that allows them to remove energy. So there's a couple of them already. That removes energy out of units that are affected by it in a pretty large circle. And if you can hit the Vipers, then you can shut them down relatively easily. And since siege tanks do still outrange Lurkers, obviously, you can keep those Lurkers at bay as long as the Vipers are taken care of. Okay. So Dark is aggressively expanding. Yeah, knowing very well that a lot of these bases are hard to acquire. I wouldn't even mind it if he, like, took half of the workers, maybe more than half of the workers, and just spread them around on these outer expansions instead. Just because I think that, yeah, mining this one out is almost a given, even if it's like 10 minutes down the line, but this expansion is very close to the Terran. And honestly, I feel like a siege tank over there could literally harass the mineral line here, so... Well, maybe not, but you gotta be... I think you gotta be thinking ahead in these sort of scenarios. Anyhow, tactical nukes. Love to see that. Going up against the Nidus network at the same time. I guessed where it would be on the minimap. I figured the natural made a lot of sense. Got it right, baby. Okay, so... Yeah, already Kira is preparing for the Nidus Worm transition as well. Having to deal with Lurkers in your main base is an absolute disaster for Terran, so he's already preparing like a nice little set of... Well, now he sees the expansion too. He's already preparing a nice set of units here to prevent that sort of thing really from coming up. Drop in the top left-hand corner. Static defense, though, is building everywhere right now for Dark. So it's going to help him out against these random marine drops quite a bit. Tactical nuke, though. Heading on over towards this location. There was a Nidus Worm that popped up over here as well, just to, I guess, allow the Zerg to reinforce this location a little bit faster. Alright. This is now a heavy game of skill, right? StarCraft is already a game of skill, but honestly, the late game boggles my mind. I feel like after many years of playing StarCraft 2, I can play mid game, I can play early game, right? I'm pretty good at that, and for what it's worth, like 90% of the games end at that point in the game. However, late game is something that, after playing this game pretty much daily for a decade, I can still not feel confident in. If that makes any sense. I feel confident early game, I feel confident mid game, but as soon as it goes to the late game especially, these guys, it seems like they grow a third arm and like a couple additional hands. And then somehow they, you know, manage to have enough actions per minute to pull everything off. Like, on a good day, I can reach like 400 actions per minute, but it seems like it's not enough. Anyways, this is a ghost with a mission, I believe. I don't know if there's already another nuke available. Yeah, no. I don't think there was. No, there is actually. Never mind. He's decided to go for the base over here because apparently the one in the top left is so far pretty well protected. Okay. Tactical nuke. Once again coming up, trying to go after one of the bases over here. That one is straight in the center of that hatchery. It's going to be quite difficult for the Zerg to actually spot that red dot. I don't think he does. Yep. 6 drones end up going down. Plus, of course, the hatchery takes a beating. Infestors are now added into the mix. Thors are coming up here for the Terran player. I would love to see double armory upgrades. I think double armory would make a lot of sense here. I would also like to see a blue flame transition and all that, because there's a good chance that, well, Dark... Did he just make 8 additional overlords? He did. Interesting. Anyways, there's a very good chance that Dark is going to go for his most beloved unit here in a moment, right? I mean, not yet, apparently, because he adds on 15 additional drones. Maybe that's because of all the workers that he's traded out right here for static defense instead, but... Okay. There's a good amount of snipes already. We're still relatively Marine Marauder heavy, but I think that will soon change out. There's the Blue Flame. There's the Smart Servos coming up too. Yeah, this is really the only group of Marines and Marauders still left in this game. They apparently are now the Janitor crew. Once upon a time, they were the most badass units that Cure could make only like 18 minutes ago, but now suddenly they were given a broom. Or a gun, I guess, to clear out as much of the creep as they can. Alright, the tactical nukes are advancing once more. Okay, good fungo over there. Problem is, he still needs to kill that before the nuke actually lands. Ooh. It's one of the things that science just can't explain. You do need the ghost to aggressively stare at the location where the nuke lands. If it gets interrupted or killed, well... then suddenly the ability does no longer go off. I don't know where that nuke is. Where do you think the nuke is? Is it just orbiting the platform that we're playing on? I guess we're underground, actually. Yeah, it seems like data C. I mean, as you guys pointed out, it's a C, right, of data. Anyways, we are underwater, so I don't really know exactly where that nuke is. I do hope, for the planet's sake, that it's not just, well, hanging out somewhere. Looking for impact at some point. We are going very heavy into infestors, aren't we? Yeah. He is going into 23 infestors. I like infestors. Don't get me wrong. Fungal growth, neuroparasites, sign me up. I think if you go for this many, though, you have to go for neurals, right? Because otherwise, what exactly is going to be your use? So there are no ravens in the mix right here for Cure. So that's maybe worth noting, okay? That expansion is toast. Already a command center is floating. Actually, it might not be toast. In the meantime, though, pushes over here are moving forward as well. There's no Raven in the mix, so no mobile detection here other than scans for Cure. Yeah, looks like it was toast after all. It would be kind of scary if suddenly there's a neural parasite in all of those Terran units, right? That would be a little bit horrifying, because then, well, temporarily at least, the Terran units would change sites. The expansion for the Zerg was cleaned up over here, but at the same time, the expansion for the Terran was also cleaned up on the other side of the map. The only problem here for the Zerg, though, is that, yeah, this opens up the front door towards the top left-hand corner for this, like, little triangle of bases. So, 2 expansions for 1. I think that's a trait that Cure would like to take. Then again, it's not like Cure has got a ton of bases mining of his own either, right? So the main and the natural are definitely running out. Third is already out of resources. Fourth is running very low. He needs a new expansion here very soon if he wants to continue mining in this game. Then again, he's got like 9,000 resources in the bank. No, a little bit more than that. He doesn't really need it. Ah, that's why we're going over here. Yeah, so I've seen this so many times now. I really feel like... do you disagree with me? I really do think it's a good idea to send like a dozen workers over here and mine out this base before Cure could have done this move. Because now Cure is going to continue mining in this area. Right? The same for the bottom right. I really feel like those expansions should be having more drones mining them. Rather than this one, you're always going to mine those out. Rather than even this one. Probably makes sense to try and mine out those outer bases first. I've been shouting this for a long time, though, and nobody ever does it. So maybe, you know, one day, it will happen, okay? And I'm going to feel so smug. I'm going to title the YouTube video about it, okay? It's going to be an exciting day. Anyways, really do feel like that makes a difference. Planetary coming up right here on the low ground. I don't think that's going to happen, but this is mostly a distraction planetary. That's a thing. Because, well, Cure's trying to secure the expansions in the top left, right? I did see a lot of corruptors, by the way. Yeah, okay, so we have 14 Oh, I thought he was going up to 23 infestors, but maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe the 9 already finished that I saw on the production tab at that point. Anyhow. I must have misnoticed it. Anyways, he's got a lot of corruptors. And now we're adding on the Brute Lord. The mighty Brute Lord. How many are we gonna make this time around, Dark? All of them? Okay, let's do it. Infestor Brute Lord, once again, makes a return. It's a little bit more complex of a unit composition these days, but Infestor Brute Lord was, of course, the overpowered unit comp back in, well, 2011, 2012, 2013, and then like a little bit later on as well in the meta too. It once again reared its ugly head. Infestor Brute Lord, once again, seems to be quite powerful, although, yeah, definitely not to the same extent. Anyhow, look at that, man. That's kind of intimidating, right? Seeing like a dozen overseers all sieging up together at once. Never say die. Okay, got a feeling that these brutes are going to be able to take care of that command center relatively easily. Nicely done. In the meantime, though, while the Brute Lords are occupying the bottom right-hand corner, Kir realizes that he's got about a minute or so until those brutes make their way towards the top left-hand corner, and he's using that time to clear out the quadrant once again. Previously, it was a triangle. Now it's a quadrant, okay? There are a lot of infestors. Okay, he does scan it right now and spots it. I really think, man, Terrans tell me that you can't do it, okay? But Terran used to tell me as well that ghosts could not be part of a late-game mech army, so, you know, that changed the tide of battle quite a bit. If you're thinking about this Terran army, right, and you're thinking of units that could improve it, the obvious unit is the Raven, right? Why do we not see Ravens in the late game? I don't know. Terrans will probably tell me that it's not possible. But imagine an anti-armor missile on the Brute Lords, or even the Brute Lings, or even the Spork, or like literally anything, right? If you're thinking about making this Death Ball more Death Ball-y, the obvious answer would be a couple of Ravens. People are gonna tell me, you can't afford it. Look at his back. Come on. You know the real reason? The real reason why players don't want to play Ravens right here is that there's already about a gajillion units to micro. There's already a lot of multitasking that needs to be done in order to control this army properly. Ravens are an extra control creep. I'm pretty sure that's the reason. But we see Zerg right here playing as if he's got 4 hands. I would like to see Kjör going from 3 to 4 hands as well. That'd be nice. Although we don't really have that many Vipers here. He's just going mass Brute Lord. Yeah, so once again, we're going 25 plus Brute Lords here. We're going up to 27, I think. Yeah, dude. Raven. Pew. Anti-armor missile. These units suddenly take way more damage. I really do think that in like a year from now, we'll see Ravens in every single late game of Terran. It just makes so much sense. Anyhow, neither of these two players really wants to fight one another, so we're tiptoeing around Spinecrawler Rush over here at the 4th base. Fair enough. Zerg is now taking one of the expos here that was previously the Terrans. Now, I think Zerg wants to fight. He just doesn't want to fight off creep, and he doesn't really want to fight in a weird choke point. Well, speaking of a weird choke point, this is a pretty strange one. Actually, I think the Terran is probably the one that really doesn't want to fight in a choke point, because obviously he needs that spread on all of those Thors. Fungal growths, though, are making it hard for this army to retreat. There's some neural parasites coming down, too. Snipes do go down, but a massive fungal on all of the ghosts. He had a little bit of time to set up for this engagement, but I've got a feeling that this is going to be a complete wipe, right? Isn't this the entire Terran army just getting demolished? I mean, the Thors are gunning down the brutes one at a time. Their high impact mode, very, very nice, but that's all of the ghosts disappearing from this army. And what seemed like, yeah, the best case scenario for an engagement right there for Kjör turns out to be an absolute disaster. He wasn't maxed out yet in upgrades? Ah, yeah, okay. He was still sitting on just that single armory. That really does not help. I don't really like how... I know that this game is hard, right? But if I'm being critical right here to try and, you know, pinpoint why I don't think that engagement went as well right there for Cure as it could have. First off, he had a lot of time. He knew that that engagement was going to happen, and yet all of the ghosts were clumped up together right over there, right? Not ideal. I think you should probably spread them out. Secondly, there was no Raven in that unit composition. I'm going to keep hammering on that one. I really do think it's a great idea. But also, I don't know, it's just not the best control that you can really hope for, right? When you know there's going to be that many infestors, maybe your better option is just to outpace it, because he could have disengaged. I mean, I guess when all the Brute Lords hit the ground, and all the Brutelings, rather, were defending in this area, he didn't really have a way to disengage at that point anymore, but he has a faster moving army than this. So he could have just not taken that fight. Anyhow, a bit of a weird choice right there from the Terran player. Honestly, with the way that Dark has been playing late game lately, though, I'm looking at this and I'm not even entirely sure what you would do. What's interesting about this... Okay, so I haven't seen that many of Maru's games lately because he hasn't played that many games, at least in tournaments that are publicly available. Maru does like playing this macro-focused style with this Deathball army, right? So Maru started this up, I want to say like 9, maybe 12 months ago, right? Where he goes for that Ghost Mech army and he builds the ultimate force. Zergs have had a lot of time to adjust to that late game. And honestly, they are looking very, very formidable. So Dark looks like the type of guy right now who's nearly unbeatable in the late game. And yet, everyone I see playing against him still tries to go for this late game army anyways. Which is... like, it's most of the time it's the Terran player making this decision to play the late game. But then it seems that their late game army can't face off against the late game Zergs. Am I mistaken? Like, maybe I'm wrong, but... it's not like Dark signed up to play a long drawn-out macro game, but when the Terran player kind of forced him in that direction, he's like, well, okay, I guess that's what we'll do. I don't know if this is strategically the best choice anymore for Terran. Oh, there was an assimilation successful over here. I think one of the infestors probably neuraled one of the ghosts, but it got picked off pretty easily. Good scan timing right there by Cure. I mean, don't get me wrong, by the way. I'm talking as if Cure is already dead in the water. He really isn't. But he is running out of resources, and if you look right now at the bottom of the screen and you see the amount of money that's available for the Terran compared to the Zerg, plus the army values, this is where the real story is told. I guess one problem you can run into if you go into Ravens is the neural parasite from the infestors taking control of the Ravens. And if then your army gets anti-armor missile... okay. Oh, I think that was a misclick. He probably tried to click right there on one of the... Yeah. He tried rapid firing creep tumors. Anyhow, if your Terran army gets anti-armor missile, then it becomes a bit of a disaster. I don't know why I didn't make a second armory sooner, though. I've got no explanation for that. We could also see, like, a full transition towards Sky Terran. I think that's another alternative. So, like, a full battlecruiser transition. It obviously is expensive, but, you know, he had the money right there to make, I think, like, 15 of them. Maybe not ideal. I'm just thinking out loud here, right? Maybe that's not a great idea, because obviously Zerg could just transition at that point. But he could have had, like, Zerg would make a ton of Corruptors as a response to that. But obviously, yeah, Ghost and Thors are still going to be pretty good against that sort of thing. I think there is potential there, man. And then once again, Ravens would make that army composition more powerful. I don't think... okay, let me put it like this. I feel like I've said that like 5 times already in this cast. But I think we've kind of approached the ultimate late game for Zerg. Because I don't really see what Dark could be adding to this to make it even better. But I don't think we've seen the ultimate armies for Terran yet. I think there's still potential for Terran to make these armies even more scary. And maybe this is all they really need. Maybe they did try it out and it just didn't work, but... I was gonna say, there's a missile turret over there. I don't think that infestor is gonna achieve too much. Feel free to disagree with me, though. But at least let me know down below in the comment section, okay? I would actually really like to hear your thoughts. Do you think I'm right? Or maybe am I? Maybe I'm like, I don't know. I'm solo casting, obviously, right? Maybe I'm missing something. Anyways, massive blinding clouds going down. Snipes are landing left, right, and center. Fungal growths as well. Now suddenly the Thors are starting to plow through a lot of this force. Okay, that was a much better engagement right there for Cure. Dark ended up losing a huge chunk of his army. He's remaking his Greater Spire right now, but a lot of the brutes are running low. Okay, that's what we want to see. I love the addition right there of the Blue Flame Hellbats. The Blue Flame Hellbats right there are making this fight so much better because they clear out those Brutelings on the ground so much quicker, and then the Thors don't derp around as much. Dark still has a bank. Since the Greater Spire was just built again, he's, yeah, capable of adding on more and more of those Brute Lords. Okay, Neural Parasite on one of the Thors, trying to get rid of whatever he can. Neural Parasite on another Thor. I mean, there's still a lot of Infestors left over. You know what? Even though you might not have Brute Lords to kill the Thors, you can use the Thors to kill the Thors instead. I mean, he could Neural all of it. He's, yeah, doing a pretty tame job right here with the Neurals. Okay, in the end, I think that Cure actually overextended here. Yeah. I mean, he loses his entire army, but supply-wise, we have a pretty nice set of supply right now once again for the Terran. Zerg is making a transition back towards that Broodlord Infestor army that I got a love-hate relationship with. I like it, but I also don't know if I do. Anyways, he doesn't have much. Like, the Zerg really doesn't have a whole lot. It's funny how this game is so similar to what we saw Beyond versus Dark, what we saw in the Beyond versus Dark game. That was pretty sick. But it's kind of interesting how this game is relatively similar. Anyhow, Dark has just smashed his piggy bank. And look how even this game has now become. It's 36 minutes in. This game can still be anyone's. Hey, Kier. Hey, Kier. I know we're making one medevac at a time, right? But listen, what about you do the big switcheroo over here and add on a Raven? Not only would you not have to scan 17 times to spot every single potential infestor coming in, but you could also, like, you know... Anti-armor missile. It's really good. It's really good, dude. Maybe not. Okay. You're using the scans right here to get rid of the creep tumors. Dark trying to build up as big an army as possible. Yeah, that engagement we saw just now in this choke point over here was... Oh, right over here was amazing for Terran. Nicely done right there by Cure. Cure is right now also with a small hit squad of Terran units inside of the main base of the Zerg player, and he is, yeah, gonna just destroy everything. Dark has been rebuilding his economy in the bottom right, so he's got his tech over here. But I don't even think he's got a spawning pool, right? Yeah, he's got a spawning pool, but that's this one right over here. That one will be destroyed very shortly. Spore crawlers are like, don't mind if we do. See you later, guys. They're gonna try and move all the way towards the bottom right-hand corner, too. Cure is maxed. Sick game by Cure, actually. Still feel like he's making it harder on himself than he needs to be, but... Anyways, the whole map is mining out, guys. So Zerg is taking the base in the bottom right-hand corner. Or all the bases over here in the bottom right-hand corner. I like how Terran was mining this one. Terran was mining this one. Zerg was mining this one. Zerg was mining that one. And the one over here, too. Like, we've done a full 180 over the last 30 minutes. From whose bases are whose. Pretty sick. Alright, so now what? What are we gonna do now? Dark needs a little bit more money in order to max out again. He's got an Ultra Cavern, by the way. I'm not sure what the Ultra Cavern is here for. He didn't get chitinous plating or anything, right? Am I missing it on the screen right here? I don't think he did. Maybe it's just for show. Maybe he was afraid of like a mass marine remax. That could always be scary. Alright. That is 31 Brute Lords. But at the same time, also a ridiculous amount of Thors and Hellbats and a lot of Ghosts. This choke point over here, I don't think this is where you want to fight. Well, maybe your choice is no longer yours. Big EMPs do go down, but those blinding clouds, my god, Cure just marched in there. That was nothing subtle about that engagement whatsoever. He just dropped 40 supply. He's like, yep, here I come. Here I come, whether you like it or not. Dark was like, yeah, I do like that actually. Thank you very much. Fungal, blinding cloud, blinding cloud. Alright. A little Brute Lord micro trick once again. That was an engagement. Let's leave it at that. That was an engagement here. Okay, well, that was pretty awful for the Terran. Zerg has lost more money here over the last couple of yeah, Zerg has lost more money overall in this game, but I think over the last couple of minutes has been Terran. Do you think we'll have a game with absolutely no minerals? So these bases have none. These bases have none. Okay, there's still a little bit remaining over here. Couple of resources over here too. Ah, I didn't mine out the whole main base. 20 minerals remaining. Okay. Ah, you know what? I think we are getting to the point where literally the entire map is mined out. Other than the 20 minerals over here. One mule drop would make me very happy. I wish there was a counter that showed me, like, minerals remaining on the map. That would be kind of interesting. Or like a total minerals mined versus total minerals mined. So you could see exactly how much has actually been mined in total in the game. So I have the income advantage graph, which is quite nice. The army size graph over here too. Units lost, right? We have a couple of graphs that are kind of... Anyways. This one's rather interesting too, actually. I don't really use this one often enough. So you can kind of see, yeah, the Terran definitely has been more peaks and valleys in this screen. But eventually does get there. This is the engagement that we saw just now, right? In that choke point here. Anyways, Cure. Are we going to take a more elegant solution this time around for fighting the Zerg? Or what are we going to do? Honestly, this could end in a draw. I don't even think the Terran really needs to fight this. If the Terran right now goes to the top left-hand corner, that might be his best move. Because fighting this Zerg on creep, not going to be easy. He can try, but I think forcing the Zerg to come to you and fighting on your terms instead may be the better move. Look at the army values, though. It's not even in the same ballpark. That's wild, actually, how expensive that Zerg army is. Ay. 36 Brute Lords. 30 Brute Lords have died this game. 31 Ghosts, only 10 Ghosts remaining. Fungal Growth. We really need Ghosts leading this army, man. Okay, Fungal Growths, and now we're fighting once again into that choke point right there. My god, this is the ultimate Zerg meat grinder over here. Minced Thor is coming up everywhere. Do we still have a Viper available for Blinding Cloud? No, we don't. That being said, I don't really know exactly if it matters because there's just simply so many Brute Lords still up in the sky. Most of the Terran Bio army at this point is gone. Hellbats are still roasting as many of the little Brutelings as possible. Ah, you know what? You know what? Is the Terran turning this one around? No way, those Thors did so much work. The real MVPs here are the Hellbats. The Hellbats are like a relatively recent addition to the late game army here from the Terran player. It's a funny little unit, but it allows those Thors to gun more frequently at the Brute Lords. This is still so ridiculously close. Dark has still got money in the bank though. He's making Zerglings right now on the back of this. One Infestor gets ready to its death, okay. At the very least, there was a Fungal Growth that ended up going down there. I think Zerglings may very well be the MVPs. How many Lings do we have? Okay, only 6. No. I thought maybe if it was going to be like a 30-plus Zergling reinforced, they might be able to catch all of those Thors on the retreat. EMP? Nice. Good EMP. Don't lose the Ghost now. Okay, he does not. SCVs don't really have a lot of money anymore to repair those Thors back up to full either, right? That would be the obvious move. Now that even the Spine Crawlers are coming from the outer bases to try and help out in this engagement. A massive Fungal Growth once again because there was no split on that Terran army whatsoever. I think that there is enough for the Zerg player here in the end. Blinding Cloud, well, once again, disables a bunch of those Thors and Marines once again. But at this point, Cure's army gets cleaned up And it's Dark who obtains the victory. But honestly, that was on a razor's edge. I think with slightly better engagements, maybe, you know, adding a Raven into the mix too, but hey, who am I? With slightly better engagements though, I think that Cure could have actually obtained the victory here. Hey, if you made it all the way until the end of this video, you know what I'm gonna say, right? Please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. Subscribe if you want to see more. We're coming up to 500,000 subscribers, which is just amazing. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate you.